Welcome to Mind in Fact. Do you ever heard the word ecosystem? Surely you heard it before, but what is an ecosystem? The ecosystem is the set of species in a given area that interact among themselves, through processes such as predation, parasitism, competition and symbiosis, and with their abiotic environment to disintegrate and become part of cycles of energy and nutrients. The species of the ecosystem, including bacteria, fungi, plants and animals, are dependent on each other. The relationships between species and their environment facilitate the flow of matter and energy within the ecosystem. The concept of the ecosystem has evolved since its origin. The term, coined in the 1930s, belongs to British botanists Roy Clapham (1904–1990) and Sir Arthur Tansley (1871–1955). It was originally applied to units of diverse spatial scale, from a weathered piece of tree trunk to a pond, a region or even the entire biosphere of the planet, the only requirement being that organisms' physical environment and interactions could exist within them. Structure of ecosystem. The structure of an ecosystem is essentially a description of an environment's organisms and physical features. This includes the amount and distribution of energy in the environment. Moreover, the structure of ecosystem provides information on various climatic conditions prevailing in the environment. It is described under two major headings. Abiotic components. Biotic components. Let's have a detailed look at this. What are abiotic components? Abiotic components of an ecosystem include basic inorganic elements and compounds such as water, air, soil, phosphates, calcium carbonates, and various organic compounds, which are usually byproducts of organic activities. Abiotic components also encompass physical factors and elements such as solar radiation, wind currents, and moisture. It is also worth noting that the sun's radiant energy is the only significant source of energy for an ecosystem. What are biotic components? The biotic components encompass all living organisms present in an ecosystem, and they fall under any of the following three categories. Producers or autotrophic components. Consumers. Decomposers and transformers. How are these three levels of biotic components related? Producers, which are largely green plants, draw energy from the sun through the process known as photosynthesis. The energy subsequently flows across the food chain to the consumers, which are largely animals. The consumers feed on the captured energy. At the bottom of the food chain, we have decomposers, also known as reducers. Waste products and dead tissues are generated at all levels of the ecosystem structure. Besides feeding on these waste products and dead tissues, decomposers also break down organic matter back to its organic components. Then, microbes finalize the decomposition work and generate organic components that can again be utilized by producers. The microbes include the bacteria and fungi and are an integral component of the food cycle. It is worth noting that energy that flows from producers to consumers to decomposers is normally inefficient. As such, less energy is available at the level of secondary consumers, carnivores, compared to the level of primary producers, green plants. Also worth mentioning is that amount of energy generated from place to place varies significantly owing to the amount of solar radiation as well as the availability of water and nutrients. There are 6 types of ecosystem mainly. Forest ecosystems. Forest ecosystems are classified according to their climate type as tropical, temperate or boreal. In the tropics, rainforest ecosystems contain more diverse flora and fauna than ecosystems in any other region on Earth. In these warm, moisture-laden environments, trees grow tall and foliage is lush and dense, with species inhabiting the forest floor all the way up to the canopy. In temperate zones, forest ecosystems may be deciduous, coniferous or oftentimes a mixture of both, in which some trees shed their leaves each fall, while others remain evergreen year-round. In the far north, just south of the Arctic, boreal forests, also known as taiga, feature abundant coniferous trees. Grassland ecosystems. Different types of grassland ecosystems can be found in prairies, savannas and steppes. Grassland ecosystems are typically found in tropical or temperate regions, although they can exist in colder areas as well, as is the case with the well-known Siberian steppe. Grasslands share the common climactic characteristic of semi-aridity. Trees are sparse or non-existent, but flowers may be interspersed with the grasses. Grasslands provide an ideal environment for grazing animals. Desert ecosystems. The common defining feature among desert ecosystems is low precipitation, generally less than 25 centimeters, or 10 inches, per year. Not all deserts are hot. Desert ecosystems can exist from the tropics to the Arctic, but regardless of latitude, deserts are often windy. Some deserts contain sand dunes, while others feature mostly rock. Vegetation is sparse or non-existent, and any animal species, such as insects, reptiles and birds, must be highly adapted to the dry conditions. Tundra ecosystems. As with deserts, a harsh environment characterizes ecosystems in the tundra. In the snow-covered, windswept, treeless tundra, the soil may be frozen year-round, a condition known as permafrost. During the brief spring and summer, snows melt, producing shallow ponds which attract migrating waterfowl. Lichens and small flowers may become visible during this time of year. The term tundra most commonly denotes polar areas, but at lower latitudes, tundra-like communities known as alpine tundra may be found at high elevations. Freshwater ecosystems. Freshwater ecosystems can be found in streams, rivers, springs, ponds, lakes, bogs and freshwater swamps. They are subdivided into two classes, those in which the water is nearly stationary, such as ponds, and those in which the water flows, such as creeks. Freshwater ecosystems are home to more than just fish, algae, plankton, insects, amphibians and underwater plants also inhabit them. Marine ecosystems. Marine ecosystems differ from freshwater ecosystems in that they contain saltwater, which usually supports different types of species than does freshwater. Marine ecosystems are the most abundant types of ecosystems in the world. They encompass not only the ocean floor and surface but also tidal zones, estuaries, salt marshes and saltwater swamps, mangroves and coral reefs.